look at it.
Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The first time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Hurrdat Media Network.
So this is one of those special episodes where we get a chance to do the show at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. And Andy Myers is here with us. And of course, he brought his fan club. Yay!
Thank you.
I love it. I'm going to start, before we get things rolling here too, we want to thank Kugler Vision. They are the sponsors of all of our live events that we do at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. And welcome to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill if you haven't been here before since we did the rebranding, which it was Hale Varsity Club not that long ago. Something that's coming up before we get into things, this little gem that I have in my hand is a drink. And it's going to be entered in a competition this weekend. It is called, I had to look it up so I get it right, because she told me 10 times, Smoked Cinnamon Apple Cocktail. And it will be part of the Whiskey Fest this weekend, which Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill is one of the sponsors for, along with Brickway and Crown Royal, of course. And that's going to be downtown at the Hilton, Omaha, which is going to be Saturday afternoon, October 7th, as we speak, from 1 to 5. And guys, just so you know, for the price of admission, they have 65 brands plus over 350 samples. That's from 1 to 5 in the afternoon. And they do suggest you just make a night of it and get a room. And there's nothing immoral about it. Just
so you can make love to the drink.
Right? Exactly. Because I think you're going to get cozy with your drinks. But this is delicious. This is one of the entries that they're going to be putting in. So if you'd like to try it, they're making them. So Andy,
I'm here.
We're here.
That's a start.
We're here and we're ready to go. It's October, one of our favorite times of the year when things get a little weird.
Things get a little bit weird, and that's what's exciting too. You almost feel like Santa Claus at Christmas, you know. In my line of work as a psychic and paranormal researcher, I'm just counting down the days till October. Now, today happens to be a very special day in October, ladies and gentlemen, because October 5th is my mom's birthday.
What?
Sue.
Yay! Happy birthday. This is awesome.
I promised her we wouldn't sing happy birthday though. So, but send your love, send your wishes.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome. So, and we also have a Friday the 13th this month coming up next week. So that's another plus. Halloween itself is not on a weekend.
I think it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I saw something floating around the internet that was like telling people that Halloween's on Friday the 13th this year. And they'd be like, oh, really?
That doesn't work out.
No, doesn't check out.
Doesn't quite
But some
work.
people would fall for it.
I would.
Yeah.
I would go for it. And then what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some paranormal stuff locally. We're all local haunted places, national places. You've got scorecards in front of you also. You want to explain those? Yeah,
we have the paranormal scorecard, kind of take stock of how spooky your life has been up to this point in time. So be honest, we're on the honor system here. And we're going to have the top 5 point winners. We're going to kind of take a gauge of where we're sitting at points wise later. We're going to have the top 5 points people come and drop their sheet in the plastic bin right here. We're going to do a drawing at the end and raffle away a couple books that I'm selling over here.
See, and he brought his pop-up banner, which I love.
I brought the wrong one. I brought the old one, but it'll do. It'll do.
This is awesome.
Look younger than I actually am on there.
That's all right. That's all right. It works. All right. So where do you want to start?
Well, I want to start by clarifying something on the paranormal sports card. Somebody asked me what constitutes being in a haunted house. Haunted house attraction where you have a clown with a chainsaw. And I said, well, that'll do, I guess, for courage points. But what it was actually supposed to be was a legit haunted house. If you grew up in a haunted house, visited your uncle's haunted, farmstead, give yourself those allotted points.
Ghost adjacent. Definitely. Okay. Are there any others on there that are like anything have you done everything that's on the list?
I think I've done most of them, although I've never seen an angel with wings yet. I was tempted to say if anyone's seen Bigfoot, they just win the competition outright.
Of course they do.
But
of course they do. Right?
I have one of because I have one of those in my backyard. Now we're talking about the real one, real deal.
Okay.
If you've hugged a Sasquatch, you win. We'll put it that way, okay?
Yeah. there are chat rooms for that.
Well,
There are.
there's Bigfoot erotica novels as well. That's a whole subgenre.
Let's get out of here.
I aspire to crack my way into that genre.
I bet
eventually.
you will.
No, it really is. It's a thing.
You, speaking of which, too, you have how many books out?
Five.
And how many by the end of the year?
Yeah, this was a good year for writing. So this month I'll have my first children's book coming out called Bigfoot's Big Birthday Party. Was co-authored with my daughter Sky. And then after that, we're going to get a little more raunchy because in November and December, respectively, I have two humor books coming out, one in each month. A little more edgy, a little more humorous, a little not what you're used to in terms of the spiritual and the self-help. But
No better time of year to do that, Andy,
I mean, people
than the holidays.
The holidays are wildly inappropriate as it is. You know, you have that one uncle who gets drunk on eggnog. You have the political arguments over Thanksgiving dinner. So I'm like, I'm just providing
fodder.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Fuel for the flame. That's all it is. Very good.
But regarding the haunted stuff, I thought we'd start local, talk about some local haunted places. Many of them you may have been to, some of them perhaps not. Raise your hand if you ever had the pleasure of going to Hummel Park.
Yes.
Right.
I think you got most everybody. What is, okay, for listeners' sake too, and somebody who maybe isn't familiar with Hummel Park, because I will say, to this point, we have listeners in every state in the country except freaking West Virginia. And I don't know why. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the force field is. It's always been an issue. But we've got like 7 countries aside from the United States and not West Virginia.
Not West Virginia.
They're screwed. So anyway, so tell us, for people that maybe aren't familiar, what's the deal with Hummel Park?
And I'm surprised West Virginia is not tuning into this sort of content. That's a spooky place right there.
I don't know. You'd think those would be my people.
But for anyone listening who's never been, Hummel Park, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it does have this kind of ambiance when you get into the park. It's picturesque, but it's also has this heavy vibe to it. And you ask anyone who has a lick of intuition, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, but it's almost that feeling of being watched. And there's been everything there. I recently covered this on one of my other podcasts called Paranormal Dads. And so I did a little bit of research because we were going to talk about Hummel Park. And I'm like, okay, how haunted is this place? It's very haunted. Okay, you have murders, kidnappings, apparitions, disembodied voices, shadow people, cryptid sightings.
What's a cryptid?
Cryptid is a unknown or undiscovered species of animal, like our friend Bigfoot. So, and there has been alleged, I don't know if they were official, but unofficial Bigfoot sightings in and around Hummel Park.
It would make perfect sense.
And then you have the riffraff, just the...
Yeah.
Just
the scary people that live there sometimes. But you're right. It has made actual legitimate headlines over the years for awful crimes.
Yes.
And it's like it has a dark force that it draws that kind of energy in.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get there, and one of the main attractions is the Devil's Staircase, right? You caught wind of this, where allegedly, as the lore goes, if you count the stairs walking down, they're not the same amount as you walk back up. So I thought, I got to give this a try. So naturally, I took my 8-year-old at the time daughter there. I said, hold my hand. We're going to walk down a haunted staircase. And true to form, she said, okay. Problem is, the stairs are crumbling, first of all. So what constitutes a step and what doesn't gets a little fuzzy on the way down because, you got cobblestones and they turn into like little pebbles and those turn into little gravel. So I think that kind of debunks the mystery of the staircase changing numbers on the way up and down.
You never get the same number up and down, right? That
Never.
was the one thing. Have you ever heard of a witch's staircase? You just made me think of that.
I've not.
A witch's staircase is something you'll find in older homes that they believed ghosts or witches can't climb. And the way it's done is every half staircase is another step. So it's like instead of having a full staircase from side to side, it kind of goes back and forth like a weird ladder. You know what I'm talking about, right?
So it'd be great if you're a bow-legged cowboy. You could just kind of amble up the stairs.
Honestly, that probably would work. But apparently witches can't do that.
Well, because I got the dress and I got the broomstick.
The pointy shoes.
Cat tripping over the black cat.
All that good stuff.
Right.
But I've seen some pictures of them, and I can tell you that would be hell on, like in the morning, like after, I don't know, New Year's morning. I don't know. You're hungover and it's like trying to get down the stairs.
Keep working on it, JT.
Right, I'm sitting with my whiskey in front of me. Or just trying to get, run up the stairs to go do something. I don't know if there's any just running up the stairs, but it is really creepy to see it a witch's staircase.
I'll have to look that up. Never heard of that one.
I never thought I'd bring something up you didn't know.
Now here's something I want everybody to look up later tonight if you're wanting to not
Or on your
sleep.
phone if you want to now.
Yeah, look it up right now. There's a phenomenon that's new to me. Apparently it's been going on for many years, but in national parks, there's these abandoned staircases in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
Yes.
They're made of brick.
Yes.
They're made of cobblestone. No house, mind you, just the staircase that leads to nowhere. And it's a thing.
What theories have you seen on this? Anything?
I mean, some people speculate that it was going to be a house or a neighborhood. Park
That's
rangers.
too boring.
It's yeah. But I don't know. It kind of makes you wonder if, what's the purpose? Does it lead to a portal? But this is old news to park rangers. Like they know, but these staircases are creepy. You see these, Google photos from up above.
Staircases to nowhere, literally. And they're out. And some of them are like grand staircases. They're not just like sticks and twigs. They're legitimately, it took some custom work.
Yeah.
They weren't just, slapped together.
And here's the thing: to get the material to build the staircases out in the middle of nowhere would have been impossible. There's not even roads that lead to it, so it's not like you could haul in the supplies on a flatbed truck or semi. There's no road to get there.
Right.
So I don't know.
Which takes you back when you start talking about the whole, obviously the Egyptian pyramids and all that good stuff, how people transported some of that stuff. But you go back like to some of the sculptures that were done, like the artists that weren't even famous like Michelangelo, but the sculptors themselves that were sculpting entire sculptures out of one piece of marble, but the marble never has flaws in it, right? And they are able, and they had to somehow get it to where they wanted to put it, and then they were able to sculpt it out of one piece of marble, and the degree of difficulty of what they did, and they were young, they were like in their 20s. Some of these guys that were doing this doesn't make sense.
No,
the timeline doesn't add up.
What were we doing in our 20s?
Not that.
Not making marble statues.
Not that. Yeah, it's really fascinating when you start looking at some of the buildings that were constructed out of the side of a mountain, let alone like the Anasazi Indians, right? So you go down to Arizona and you see some of the wall dwellers that were down there, and they built their homes into the wall. But then you go look in Egypt or Iran or in some of those places, and they have castles. They have churches that are built out of the side of the wall, one piece of rock, and they built everything and they went into the side. One mistake and it's done, right?
Yep.
It's amazing.
What am I thinking of? Petra, I think it is, in Jordan. It's like a church basically carved into the side of a mountain, one solid chunk.
I think it was in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, could have been. Dial of Destiny.
Just saying. I think between Indiana Jones and National Treasure, I learned everything I need to know about history. That's how I learned everything.
But speaking of carving things into mountains, I have this theory that in a post-apocalyptic future, where our species barely survived, and then they have no reference point for anything. Like they don't remember what was technology like, what was society like. They're going to see Mount Rushmore, and they're going to be like, oh, so those were the four gods they worshipped, right? They wouldn't know. They wouldn't
know any different. But then you think about what stories have been concocted about the things we found.
Yeah.
And you're relying upon somebody's educational background and lore that they've deciphered to decide to tell us what the stories were about some of these. What?
Deciphered.
Okay, that was my air quotes. But that was my voice for air quotes. Deciphered. But anyway, give me another one of these. Seriously, when you start looking at the story, well, okay, let's go to, is it Galapagos Islands where they have, is it Easter Island?
Easter Island,
where they have the statues that they discovered the heads. And then when they started digging, they have bodies.
Yeah. Right.
But for the longest time, they made up the whole story about, oh, well, the way they did this, they drug the heads over here and they put them here and blah, 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 whatever built them. Oh, no, there's bodies. So those stories were lies. But that was the lore that was made up to that point until somebody dug one up.
Somebody thought to grab a shovel, right?
Let's look into this. Yeah.
It's like, hold my beer. I'm going to dig up a whole body.
Yes.
The body's bigger than the head, by the way.
Yeah. It's crazy. All right. So sorry.
Well, coming from Easter Island all the way back to little bitty Omaha. We're not Omaha, actually. Technically, we're going to Villisca, Iowa, the axe murder house. You guys familiar with this? Yeah. If you're not, as the story goes, the family, the whole entire family is murdered in their sleep one night, bludgeoned to death by a killer who never got caught. And people suspect they hopped on the train that passes through nearby. And, since the Villisca Axe Murder House, as it's known, has become like a paranormal hotspot for investigations. I've never been there simply because I promised my Aunt Terry I never would, and I keep a promise.
Aw.
But yeah, I have a theory though. A lot of people who go there, some people have a lot of paranormal, documented evidence, and some people don't. But I have a theory that all these paranormal teams going there, obviously it's a scary experience, wondering what kind of evidence you're going to get. Even if they don't get evidence, they're spewing out fear, right? And this fear just kind of hangs in the air, contributing to the already dense energy. So I think a lot of these paranormal teams that are going in there to investigate, they're just feeling the leftover fear and anxiety of other teams.
Right.
As much as the ghost that was killed there.
The family that was killed, was it 2 children?
I think it was 2 children. And
that was it. Because so some people come away saying that they have, because there's a room in the house where you'll have like somebody tugging on your pant leg.
Yeah.
And it's like a child in the room, or which child ghosts are scary, just in general.
Too bad Pat's not here. That's his trigger, right?
Baby ghosts.
Baby ghosts.
Baby ghosts. He's like, yeah. But that was part of it. And I think they even had it on a couple of TV shows. Chip Coffee.
Was he there? He may have been there.
He did a TV show there, I do believe. And then there was a couple others. One that she was local, and I can't remember her name right now. And she was part of it. And she backed out of it.
Gotcha.
Because she was like, it was too much. It was too much to be in she's clairvoyant. And It was too much for her to be in it. But that's but people do. They pay, and they book this out a year in advance so they can have the opportunity to spend the night in that house on Halloween.
Yep. So you can roll a ball back and forth with a child ghost.
Okay, moving on.
When that happens, that's when you pick the ball up and punt it like a football and you run out of there.
Yeah.
Easy 2-step process on how to fix that solution. Yeah. Next, we have the North Omaha in general. Anybody born there, raised there, visited there?
There we go. There we go.
It's just, I grew up in a haunted house in North Omaha, and I'm grateful that my mom didn't share with my sister and I what we now know is that, the house was a lot of activity going on there. Little girl ghost following us up the stairs every night when we go to bed. Years later, my sister and I are out of the psychic closet, and my mom says, come to think of it, there were times when you were little, I'd wake up and I'd look out into the upstairs hallway and it was glowing red. And I was like, you mean red like brake lights coming through the window from the street? And she's like, no, like the walls, the ceiling, the floor, the air, everything was red. Oh my God. And had she told us this growing up, I don't think I would have ever slept again.
Yeah. Do we have a microphone for Mom, Cam? If we can. I just wanted to ask her a couple of questions just so she can I want this on documented. So I'm going to ask you a couple of things. Is first your abilities. And we're gonna clarify this.
She doesn't have many points on the scorecard,
okay.
JT.
Well, you didn't put glowy red hallway on there.
She would have got a point there.
She would have got a point for sure. But we want to, just and your beliefs at that time, where you were at, where your head was at when you saw that.
It was spinning in circles.
It was. Right. I'm guessing that it was either one of two. It was either, okay, I'm going crazy and I'm not going to tell anybody what I just saw, or I know exactly what this is and I'm not going to tell anybody what I just saw. One of the two. Are we on a? It's okay, Cam. Oh, geez.
But
who's in charge of that?
But all of North Omaha in general is, there's a history to it. It's older than a lot of other pockets of Omaha. And, just when you think that house, which was over by Miller Park along North 30th Street, going from there to the Benson area, that next house was even more haunted. But again, I think it's the history of all the families who lived there before, and apartments too. Notoriously a hotbed for paranormal activity because you have a lot of people passing through, various leases. Okay. Every new person brings their new energy into there. Sometimes it's not always good.
That's another thing.
Hotels,
right?
Same, ditto.
When you go stay places that you don't know who the people before were staying there, and you're, for whatever reason, and you've heard about backpack ghosts, I think, and I don't know what causes one to do that, but it's like they're attracted to your energy, and they decide it's not the place, it's the person. It's
like have spook, will travel kind of mentality.
Thanks. Pretty much. All right, we're good to go?
Yeah.
All right, Mom. So what was, first off, your abilities itself? Do you have the same thing your kids have?
Well, nothing I can harness.
Okay.
I've been the benefactor of a few things through the
Did
years.
it freak you out when they started having this stuff? Is it something you were familiar with?
No, it's kind of a family thing on both sides of the family a bit.
Wow.
So definitely both sides. Not as much talked about on my side of the family, but my husband's side of the family a lot more. So
Kind of a
yeah.
okay, kind of cool. So when you saw this, did you recognize what it was, or were you freaked out?
No, I was sound asleep, and I just would wake up and look out in the hall, and it's like it's kind of glowing red out there, and I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder what the heck that is. It's like, and I'd close my eyes and think, oh no, it's just you're imagining it. Or I'd rub my eyes and it's like it's still there, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going out there.
Not going out there. Okay. And then it was gone in the morning, so it was all
Yeah,
good. And it wasn't every night.
No, just once in a great while.
I wonder what I don't know, because it's like you wonder if you wouldn't have the same response that you would think, okay, no, that's crazy. Go back to sleep. You're just dreaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So as the kids got older doing their stuff, though, you said you benefited from it. Are their abilities different from anybody else in the family, or are they just like different but the same?
I think everybody who has some abilities, they're different from each other anyway. I mean, everybody kind of cultivates their own intuition differently, and everybody's gifts are a little bit differently. So, some people, they just freak out. Steve's mom did not like it at all, and she turned hers off, basically.
Wow. Yeah.
And, we never knew, my sisters are here with me and stuff. We never knew our grandmother, but she had abilities too.
Wow.
And as did some of her sisters and a grandfather, and that
Do the
type of thing.
sisters have it too?
Nobody,
Hell no.
Nobody in my family of our siblings will claim they have anything.
Got it.
At all. So it
Big wink.
obviously it skipped a couple generations, I think, is what it did. But either that or we're all pretty, how would you say, focused people. And
that makes me unfocused.
That's what it does.
Maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's the trick, is to be unfocused. It makes you more intuitive.
It might
maybe,
be more open
I
to
don't
it.
know. Well, Liz
Very
was pretty
good.
focused though, but so yeah. No.
Okay.
I've had few
Just
things
curious.
happen, but nothing I can harness.
Okay. Just
So,
curious. Thank
yeah.
you.
You bet.
All right. So from that to the apartment to Benson.
Oh my God. Yeah. The house in Benson was an absolute hotbed. After my grandma passed away, I moved in there. Shadow figures, whistling, in a room where there's nobody there, disembodied voices saying my name up through the register vent from the basement. Multiple instances actually of voices in the register vent. And then you go downstairs, no one's downstairs.
go
then you hear the
downstairs?
voices upstairs.
You go downstairs?
Yeah, you got to check it out.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah,
But,
you don't.
paranormal things are not just happening in North Omaha, though. Actually, Kim, this was just back in July. Kim over here texted me. There was I think it was on the Nextdoor app, but there was a person out in near Zarinsky Lake, in a neighborhood near Zarinsky Lake, totally different part than North Omaha. But there's this couple who claims that around 1 o'clock in the morning, they were sitting out on their porch having a cigarette or something in the middle of the night on a weekend. And they kept hearing this strange noise. And they finally noticed a 1 foot tall little something on 2 legs, on 2 feet. And it started running towards them, screaming.
What?
And they freak out. They're like, I don't know. It's like a little garden gnome or something.
Yeah.
Little leprechaun garden gnome. So they freak out. They run inside. And they posted on the Nextdoor app, and there was this whole slew of people chiming in. Where, wow, that's weird. I had something similar happen. One of the comments actually was a person just down the street, and they're like, well, that's weird that you saw a 1 foot tall being on 2 legs, because I saw something that was 7 or 8 feet tall on 2 legs hop my back fence. And it was big, and it was broad, and it was shadowy. So I was like, okay, so we have little leprechauns and Bigfoots living on the same block?
Babies.
Babies. Maybe.
Babies.
How little would a baby Bigfoot be though?
I don't know. I don't know how. I
Little
don't
baby
know.
Bigfoot nugget. I bet they're bigger than a foot.
Bigfoot.
Little Junior.
They're bigger.
You just got to rock
Bigfoot.
Junior to sleep so you don't yell at people.
Is a Bigfoot baby is a Bigfoot tall?
About a foot tall. If you're listening to West Virginia, call us and tell us how big they are out there.
But the little ones, that scares me more than the big ones.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I remember the movie Chucky.
Yeah.
Creepy. Really creepy. He got arrested, by the way. The Chucky actor. He's an adult
What do you
now.
mean the actor? I thought it was just a
Yeah.
puppet.
There's an actor that played Chucky in the movies.
Oh, like the voice actor?
I don't know. He played the boy too.
Oh, okay.
He played him.
Oh.
He played some scenes because some scenes, it was a person.
I gotcha.
Like close-ups, like depending on, and some of them were actually puppet type stuff, but some were the actual person.
Gotcha.
He didn't turn out well. I'm just going to leave it at that. Shocker, I know.
Well, speaking of little people, though,
Okay.
I will
Good.
briefly. I keep looking at this like we're at a press conference. I don't need this sheet. True story, and I'm going to elaborate more on this. I have an upcoming event on October 14th where we'll be sharing spooky stories all night long, and I'll tell you more about that later. But many years ago, by now, when I was living on the house near Benson, my girlfriend at the time saw what looked like a 2-foot tall creature run across the road on 2 feet. Now it disappeared into a really dilapidated house that had been under construction for many, many years. And her best description was like a little garden gnome type creature.
Mm-hmm.
It was on 2 legs. It was, it was dark out, but it was clear as day what it was. And it was lightning fast, right? So, and it ran into the yard of a home that I had always found particularly creepy. This is on 69th Street, just north of Maple. Okay. Now, since the house has been completely renovated, they finally finished the construction. It's gorgeous now, but back then it looked super haunted, and it had for years leading up to that. So I thought, all right, this is good ammo for a paranormal show. And so I shared that story, although it wasn't my story. It was a secondhand story, but I shared it at a paranormal expo, and, made some people thought it was funny. Some people thought it was scary. And then a guy in the back row stands up and raises his hand, and we hand him a microphone. Turns out his name was Carl. And he says, well, I believe you, because I saw the same damn thing back in the 1970s, about 2 blocks over from where your sighting was. What? So it turns out Carl, when he was in college, I think it was, he was in the basement of a house in Benson, and him and his buddies were shooting pool in the basement. And Carl looked up. He was a fairly intuitive guy, believed in the paranormal. And their little recess window, I believe is what you call it, like near the ceiling of the basement. And he said, peering through the window at him was a little 1 or 2 foot tall man on 2 legs. And he said it looked like a little leprechaun. It wasn't dressed like a leprechaun, but he said it was so small in stature, it could almost be like a doll. But it had facial expressions. And when Carl looked at it, he said the little creature look surprised. Like
you can see me.
Yeah, you can see me. Why can you see me? I'm supposed to be invisible. So Carl freaks out. He screams. He screams. Everybody screams. And he takes off upstairs, makes a break for the kitchen door. His buddies all follow him. Well, a couple of them actually got outside fast enough to see this creature not only running away, but sliding underneath of a parked car, like baseball style, like sliding underneath a car so it couldn't be seen. And they went and checked under the car, and by that time it was gone. But if you're in the Benson area or are familiar with the Benson area, just for giggles, just for chuckles, tonight, go down to 69th and Maple, hang a left, go north. Maybe you'll see something on that street. Maybe you won't.
But if you do,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, have your camera ready. Get your phone out.
And the house that this being was originally seen running into, you can't miss it. The front has this beautiful, intricate brick wall type design with like a wrought iron fence. And I don't know what it is, but the fence on the front also has like little lockets, like hundreds of them, like locked on all the
padlocks. Yeah,
like padlocks. Which must be something.
Well, what was the deal with the padlock bridge?
Was that in France or what?
Yeah, and then they made people quit doing it because it was so heavy. There were so many padlocks. Do you remember what the deal was with that?
Yeah, it was like a thing where people would go there as a couple and they would profess their love and lock a thing. So it's permanent love, I guess. would be
Okay.
The idea behind it. Yeah.
Okay. And then they made him quit because there were so
Many locks.
So if that's what they're doing in Benson, take your significant other, right? Go spot a garden gnome and
For
renew your
protection.
vows right there, and then blow lock it and call it a night.
And lock it. That's it. That's crazy. I hadn't heard about the lockets or the padlocks on that. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Any others you want to throw in there?
Yeah, just one particular place. No big deal. Just a little place in Omaha that scared me to my very soul. Anyone heard of the Museum of Shadows downtown?
Today was the first time I heard about this. Today, the first time I heard about it. And he was scared to death. It's a friend of mine. He said, have you heard of this place? I'm like, I had no idea. He says, it's legit.
Yeah, it's
okay.
If you're looking to be sick to your stomach, go there because it'll do the trick.
What's the deal? What?
Right. So I didn't know much about it. And
where's it at?
It's right down near Douglas Street. It's on Douglas, like 13th and Douglas, maybe.
Okay.
And I didn't know much about it. There's a group of friends going. One of my friends was having a birthday party, and they're like paranormal investigator people. And so I was like, all right, I'll meet you guys for dinner. We'll check out the Museum of Shadows. We'll have a good night. Well, I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe it was something about the size of this room, a few 100 square feet, couple haunted artifacts, easy peasy. This place is massive. It is. I can't even tell you. 10,000, 20,000 square feet. It's ginormous, and it has a basement. It has an upstairs. And what it is, it's a place that's filled with haunted artifacts that people have donated because these artifacts, murder weapons, dolls, clowns, haunted pictures, have caused such a ruckus in these people's lives that they don't want it in their house. So they give it to this museum.
Hold on.
Complete with a little plaque saying what it is, where it came from, and what it did while it was in their possession.
What's the movie based on a real story about the doll? And there were like, there's like 3 or 4, not in
Annabelle?
It's the Annabelle series. That's what, remember, he's got that room in his house where he has these items that were all attached to spirits. This is based on a true story. What was the Annabelle series? What was it called? I keep wanting to say a word that's not real.
Was it called Annabelle?
Incepted. What is it? Annabelle. Say it. Conjuring was part of the series. What's the other name? There's another word. Annabelle. This is gonna drive me crazy. Annabelle movies. What was it in? Or maybe it was one of the first ones. I apologize if I'm going to get this wrong. Insidious. Thank you. I knew it was something like that. It was in something. Insidious. That's the one that they talk about. And they have the doll and is in a glass case, locked in a glass case. And it tells in each one of them all of the stuff that everything in the room is attached to a crime or a haunting that is kept in a locked room away from the rest of his family. That's the same thing.
But real.
This was real too. That's what this family did. So that's where they got the whole beginning of the story. If you get a chance to look it up, it was based on that couple. She was clairvoyant, and he supported her, in the investigations.
It's a good husband,
right? Or he's scared to death of her.
You stick with somebody who's possessed. That's true love.
Well, that's true too. But she would get these visions of things, and they go investigate, and then they take the thing that was causing the trouble or what was used to cause the crime or what they used for the crime. And they would keep it in this room away from other people. But it was that's what they're doing down there. It's the same thing.
Whatever happened to collecting stamps, shot glasses,
right?
This is what this place is. And so inside, they try to upsell you at the front desk. They're like, would you like a blacklight flashlight? And I'm like, well, for what? They're like, oh, so you could see the blood on the murder weapons. Like, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Haunted museum.
And the vibes in this, it takes a lot to scare. I'm not a brave person, but I've seen a lot. It takes a lot to scare me. I'd rather be in an actual haunted house than a haunted house attraction where things are jumping out at you. Because usually haunted houses and investigations, they're rather peaceful. It's not like the movies where you're getting scratched by things and having demons scream at you. It's not like that. But this place terrified me.
That's crazy.
So you got, everything from, it was just too dark. It was just too dark. You had the murder weapons. You had baby carriages where there was trauma involved. You had thousands, and I do mean thousands of dolls clowns, clown pictures,
I'm
doll
not going.
pictures.
I'm not
He
going.
had goat
That's-
heads with horns hanging on the wall with pentagrams behind them. And I'm not a very religious person, but I'm back in that area, and I'm like, I think I'm good. I
kind of
don't need
pushing
to-
the barrier a little
it's
bit,
like,
right? They've been featured on Travel Channel, Fright Club, Prime Video. There's a movie apparently that features them also. 2 levels of a 4-story building. How long were you in there?
Well, about an hour.
They've got
The other-
3,000 items, verified
3,000.
haunted artifacts.
And even within the place, they have footage of like these dolls moving on their own. And you read the little plaque of each thing, and it's quiet as a library in there because people are just so scared. No one's even talking. You're just walking through like it's a museum of shadows, and you're reading the description. It's like, my name's Bob, and I got rid of this doll because I put it in my attic and then found it on my couch. And then the next day, my dog died. And I'm like, sorry, Bob.
See, and I want to see it, but I want to see the movie about it. I don't want to go to it. But
I can't go there again. I was with the people, and I was like, I'm sick to my stomach. I want to get out of here.
Wow.
And usually I end the night, I go home, I watch my alien shows, I watch my Bigfoot shows, I sleep like a baby. I went home and watched stand-up comedy and cartoons because I was dark.
Lighten
Lighten the mood, man.
When you talk about that too, Squirrel Cage Jail is one of them that I got to tour, and I got to go from the jail keeper's home, which is at the top, and the squirrel cage is a circle. And there was 3 of them across the country, I believe. And honestly, the best design, they said this was like the best design ever for a jailhouse, except for the fact if there's a fire, you can't get everybody out of there.
Because they rotate the cells and only one is open at a time because it's a circle.
Exactly.
Right?
So there's only one way in, one way out. You rotate the cells around, and there's a big crank at the top with a chain that they would rotate manually at first and then turn it around to get to each prisoner individually. So extremely secure, extremely safe. But somebody did break out because they went down through the toilet. Some skinny Yahoo went down found his way out.
It's like, Jeffrey, why aren't you eating your dinner?
Yeah.
Mind your business, boy. I'm trying to slim down, fit through a toilet.
He's from West Virginia.
We love you, West Virginia.
So that's the one.
Your first comment from West Virginia is not going to be a good one.
I'm waiting for it. Rate and review. Get after it.
That was my great grandpappy. He was serving time in Omaha.
But in that one that they had in Council Bluffs, if you get a chance to tour it, do it, because it takes you upstairs and you get to see the room where they live. The family lived there upstairs, and then there was one room that they hadn't opened up yet that had been boxed, like built over, like it wasn't like boarded over. It was a wall, but they had poked a hole in it, and you can see a whole nother room back in there, and they didn't know what was in there at that time. But downstairs, as you went through the rooms and you went through the cells, you go all the way down to the bottom, and that was where they ate. There was like picnic table down there or something. Supposedly that's where they could eat, and they would have free time on the concrete. But there was a cell for punishment for solitary, and that cell at the bottom is a stand-up cell. You can't sit down or lay down in it. So when you step into that cell, when the door is closed, it's like 1.5 feet wide, 2 feet maybe wide. So you could maybe bend your knees, and then you'd be against the wall, but you can't sit down or lay down. So on the tour, you're allowed, some people did this, you're allowed to walk into that solitary cell. I got close to it, and I was getting nauseous near it. And then when we went back up, same thing hit me again. We were by some of the cells. It was just this really heavy feeling that was over there. And people that work there, they said they get it every once in a while. They kind of feel that too. But it is really fascinating just to see it, because the design of it, there were, like I said, there was 3 of them in the country. And they were lauded as this is brilliant, but because of those disasters, there were a couple of fires, and it was like, okay, we're not even. They just threw the whole thing out. They didn't try to fix the problem. They were just like, we're done with it. So, yeah, that's an interesting tour. That's pretty cool. I was glad to see that on here. But when you said that feeling nauseous thing, that was the first one that ever did that to me.
Nope, got to watch some cartoons, cleanse the palate.
Yes.
Paranormal palate cleanser. There's a book I should write.
Definitely. All right. So time-wise, how are we doing? Because just so you know, we're at Hurrdat Sports Club Sports Bar and Grill. So right after our podcast, and it's every, let's say 2 Thursdays, a month. We don't know what Thursdays. You just have to listen. I don't know. It happens. But throughout the Husker season, every Thursday night before the game, they have the Run, which is another podcast, which is with the Heisman team, basically. So you got Johnny the Jet Rogers is going to be in here. Tommy Frazier. I think Johnny's not here tonight, right? Tommy Frazier is here. A special guest. Eric Crouch is also pops in. So that's every Thursday night, and they take off at 6:00. So we're trying to make sure we are respectful of their time as well. So did you want to go to your paranormal cards and see how people did? Or do you want to talk about some of these?
Yeah.
Are there any on this other list of your national locations that you want to hit on?
We could touch on that briefly, but I do. Has everyone filled out their paranormal scorecard rather?
It's
Speaking
a sports
of sports,
bar.
we should plant one of us in the Huskers show and just ask them paranormal questions.
Sadly, what's the
Johnny, what's the most haunted football stadium you ever played in? Just see their reaction.
I guarantee there's stories.
I mean, might be.
There probably are. All right. So
who's a heavy hitter? Who thinks they have a good amount of? If you think you have a good amount of points, just shout it out.
over here. Oh,
20. Can anybody beat 25? We close. Anybody close to 25?
20,
We got a 20.
22.
How many? 20, 22, 21, 21. We got a 21. Okay. So come drop, fold it up and come drop it in the
So we
bucket
got
here.
1, 2. Do we have?
Sis, you're disqualified. You're disqualified. You have all my books.
Right. I was gonna say she's the one with 25. course she
Anybody
is.
else in the 20s, low 20s, high teens?
Yeah.
Yeah, come drop it in.
Come on. Over here. Lucian.
19. Cindy, come on down. Put your name in the hat here.
So anything? How many others are 15 or above?
Yeah, let's go 15 or above.
We got 1, 2 more, 3 more. Let's
Yep.
do that.
Yep. Most
Okay.
paranormal people. In goes the folder there.
And your names are on these, right? Just checking.
Your name should, the name should be on it.
Because we're going to draw a little later here for some prizes. Any of those experiences that you marked off on there that anybody wants to share?
Yeah, does anyone want to share one of your experiences? Did anyone hug a Bigfoot?
Right? Lucian, do you want to? What's that?
In our hearts. In our hearts we have. Did you want to
Lucian,
share
do you
one?
want to share one? Come on up. We got a microphone for you. Tell us which one was on the list that you ticked off and what the deal was.
I would say multiple in the same location. Me and my friends, when we were younger, made a habit of sneaking into places we shouldn't have been. And there's a cemetery out in Louisville called Ball Cemetery. And everybody in high school would always go out there and just see what happens. I drove out a bunch of friends one night and we went walk around, saw orbs and pictures that we were taking of graves. And one of the pictures had, it looked like, only thing I could describe as ghost flowers. In the picture, there were flowers there
I
and
remember
they looked
people
like they
sending
were
you
white.
pictures years ago of that place.
Yeah, it's creepy. And they weren't actually there. So we put our cell phones back. We're like, okay, enough of that. Let's walk around for a little bit. We got back to the car and there were handprints all over the car, like little children handprints, like they were walking on all fours on the car. And when we went back to check our cell phones, the pictures were gone. They were on another phone that had then texted them to his girlfriend. Keep in mind, the phone was in the car the whole time. Whoa. And she said, "Are those flowers for me?" And the phone responded, "No, those were my flowers."
Whoa.
So
tell me there's a screenshot.
Oh, no. Here's the kicker. We got back to this gas station we all met up at, and the phone had died. So we're like, let's charge the phone. Let's get the pictures. Phone charged, all gone. None of it was on the phone when it came back on. So that was probably the scariest thing.
Wow.
Okay, Lucian, I have to ask you something.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
Omaha, Nebraska, yeah.
Louisville is Louisville.
Is it Louisville? Did I say it wrong?
I just don't want anybody else to call you out except your friends.
I'm not the
And
sharpest
we're all
cookie in
friends
the
right
drawer.
here. In your defense,
It's
and
Louisville
I've got
Slugger. It's
Louisville Slugger,
yeah, okay.
right? And also Louisville, Kentucky. I get it. And I will give you another one. A friend of mine who grew up here, one time out loud, called Beatrice beet rice.
Oh.
So you have nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
So you're fine. That was a really good story. Thank you.
I just like the part where he said we were taking pictures of graves. Like
Picture-
that's,
I know,
like, that's
it's
just
like-
a normal thing that happens.
It's like, what kind of weirdo goes and takes pictures of graves? At night. At night.
That was one of the best ghost stories I've heard.
That's a good one, though. But I was going to say paw prints. Well, Maybe. I don't
Kids,
know.
pets. What's the difference sometimes?
Sometimes. What's the difference? Yeah, that's good.
I-
And Ball Cemetery, I think, is one of the underrated or not on everybody's radar, I guess, really, as far as being a great place to go for haunts.
I got kicked out of there.
Shocker.
And I wish I could say it was in high school. It was like 2 years ago. I was there with my daughter.
Oh, no.
We were looking for something to do, and we were in Springfield in Nebraska City. And I was like, hey, there's a haunted cemetery called Ball Cemetery. Do you want to go? She's like, sure. It's just the two of us. And you like wind through, it's the middle of nowhere. And then you arrive, and it's kind of picturesque. And we pull in, and I was about to get out, and this guy starts coming over to us, and he doesn't look very happy. And so I rolled down my window, and he's like, basically in a very nice way, he's like, state your business. And I'm like, well, according to my phone, it's an interesting place for people who are interested in what you might say spirits, right?
Right.
And he was like, this is a family property, got to leave. I'm like, okay, probably would have really let me have it if my daughter wasn't there. But apparently it is family property. And
now it's private property.
It's
now?
private property. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Lucian knows. Yeah, he knows all about that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so some of these others, yeah, go ahead. Do you want to see if anybody else had one?
Yeah, anybody else have a good story?
Anybody else want to share? Okay, back here. Cassidy's got a story. What are with all my Hurrdat people with all these spooky stories? What's going on here?
It's not as cool, but it's fine. So preface, I backpack ghost, I had one. He's since gone, but I did have one in high school at my parents' house. But my current house now is built in 1958 off of in the South Omaha region. And before we moved in, I was painting, and I like to say I'm an intuitive person, but my mom thinks I'm crazy. It's fine.
Because they're spelled so differently.
Yeah.
We're so much alike, right? It's like crazy, intuitive.
Exactly.
It's easy to get them mixed up.
And so I was there
get it.
painting by myself during the day, and I just felt unsettled, as if not as if oh, there's someone else here. I felt wrong, I guess, bad, not something I wanted to mess with. And again, I felt just creeped out. I'm like, I can't have this if I'm going to live in this house. So I cleansed my house. Didn't quite get specific enough. I got too specific. Negative spirits, this is my space, you aren't welcome here. But now I have a lot of positive spirits now in my house.
Having a party.
Yeah. It's I feel that feeling now when I'm alone, but it's not as oh, there's a problem, I'm in danger kind of feeling. It's oh, can you go away just for 15 minutes while I watch my show?
Oh my God.
And then my dog will just stand in the hallway, stare down the hallway, follow things that aren't there. Kind of, spirit 101 is what I call it.
Yeah.
And my backpack ghost, his name was Harold, has since left the premises. Don't know why his name was Harold.
Did you name him, or did you know that was his name?
I didn't. I had a feeling it was his name, which sounds dumb, but it's
No, it doesn't.
Harold, just oh, that sounds fitting.
Yeah.
And it was.
That's crazy. No, I understand that whole thing about the dogs. My dogs do that. They'll sit in the hallway and just my little, oh man, he's so cute. He's a little toy poodle, and he's 2. And he'll all of a sudden I'm looking at in the living room. It's just dark out there, and I'm doing something, and I come around the corner, and he's just sitting there staring at the TV, and it's off, and he's just sitting there, and it's just quiet as can be in there. And then he'll look over his shoulder at me at the back, did you see that? And then he turns back around, and he looks right at it again. Okay, and I just walk out of the room, but it's not nervous like it used to be. There used to be some unsettling feelings in my house, and I haven't had that for years. We did a good saging and cleansing and the whole 9 yards. But yes, there's still something there that gets their attention. That's good. Thank you, Cassidy. I love it. All right. So I guess we probably should move on. Do we want to do the Mandela Effect stuff? Or what do you want to do next?
I think we could do Mandela Effect stuff. Yep. And I got more in case we run out of time for that. So
Let's do that. We'll do these, and then y'all know what the Mandela Effect is. Mandela Effect basically is remembering things. You think you remembered them wrong, and you see something, you're like, that's not how it was. That's not how I remember that, seeing that. And it's a phenomenon that actually came up because of a writer who was wrongly recalling that the late South African president Nelson Mandela had died in the 80s. And a lot of people believe that to be true, that he had died in the 80s after his imprisonment.
A lot of people remembered it.
They remember him dying.
Yeah.
They remembered that there was like a nation mourning, that there was, they remember it on TV.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't say that I actually do remember that. Because I've read the accounts enough that I'm afraid that it's been kind of altered, but I totally respect that because I get it. And he actually died in 2013. Yeah. So that's where that came from, this Mandela effect, remembering things differently. So we have some pictures for you that Cam has, and I think you're going to throw some up, or we're going to kind of run through these, and you can tell us which one is correct when you see the pictures up on the screens. I don't know, which screens are going to be on? Just the one? Okay, there we go. Oh, this one has a name on it, unfortunately. Is that the B? There's an A and a B for each one? This is the B. That's all right. That's okay. So this one here is just a good example. It's Jif, not Jiffy. But a lot of people remember it being Jiffy peanut butter. There was Jiffy popcorn.
Look on my sister's face right now. Yeah.
I'm so
And
confused.
It is paranormal in its own right too, because it messes with your mind, and it's like, what is real? What's not? What are memories in general? Like,
how do they get moved? And Jiffy popcorn was out about the same time that Jif peanut butter came out, and that might be where the confusion. So this one could be just a matter of confusing names. Very simple, right? All right. So now let's go on to the next one. Which one is right? Looney Tunes. Left or right? Oh, see, we'll go with one or two. Which one? Toons. Looney Tunes. That's how I remember it myself. Go ahead. And the answer is no. Looney Tunes. I call BS on this one. I remember it being Toons because it was ironically wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Tunes. Okay, let's throw the next one up. Do you remember these two? The Berenstain or the Berenstain Bears? Ooh, Steen. Go ahead. Answer is, yeah, the Steen Berenstain is correct. Isn't that crazy? That's not how I remember it either. Do you remember it?
you're making people mad
I know I am.
because
It'll get better.
everything you thought you knew, throw it out the window.
I'm going to bring you back. Trust me, I will bring you back. All right, go for the next one. Curious George's Tale, yes or no? Go on to the next one. Yeah, it says no. And a lot of people remember him having a tail. All right, go on. Is it Sex in the City or Sex and the City? This one kind of gives it away because it says it on the top. A lot of people remember it Sex in the City, which makes sense to me though too. All right, this one kills me. 2 E's, right? What is it?
Febreze or Febreze?
1 E. Everybody's going to go home and open their closet now and go look at the Febreze. I know it. This one's another one that gets you too. You're going with E or A? A. There you go. Very good. And then we've got some we're going to kind of double up on a few of them here, I think, coming up. Oh, this is a tough one. The Monopoly Man and his monocle, yes or no? I see no's. I see yeses. Okay, what is it? Yeah, Monopoly Man and his monocle. And the fact was he did not have it. It was Mr. Peanut. What? Pikachu, this one, I didn't care. I didn't know the difference one way or the other. I'm just going to throw that out there for you. Do you remember Pikachu?
I wasn't into that.
I wasn't either, but a lot of people clearly remember the black detailing on his tail. In reality, it was just yellow. I'm sorry. Fruit of the Loom might catch a few of you, though, too. Fruit of the Loom, with the cornucopia, without. There you go. You are 100% inaccurate. Yeah, right? Cheez-Its. Cheez-It. Zits. It. Okay. Double stuff with 1 F or 2? Double stuff. 1 F or 2? All right, here we go. Boom. One F. There isn't a second F. And the Cheez-Its, there's no Z. Okay. C-3PO. Does C-3PO have a silver leg? And is there a T in Flintstones? C-3PO has a silver leg. He does. He has a silver leg, and there's 2 T's in Flintstone.
Since when does he have a silver leg? We
I
have a
think
Star Wars expert in the audience. Joe,
think
do
he
you,
also had
do you
a
always
red
remember
arm
him
or
having a
something,
silver
too.
leg?
He
Yes.
does. Ah!
Since when? I'm calling BS on this one.
Get out. Your mom is upset. I'm going to say.
Tired childhood is a lie.
All right, the next one, this one. Okay, if anybody watched 007, the Moonraker, and there's a scene in it where Jaws meets Dolly. I don't think we have the actual video scene of it, but we have the pictures. So you can see, and we might have the video. Do we have the video? I didn't send you that. Okay, so this is Dolly, and she meets Jaws, and he's got the silver teeth. Right? You might remember this just pop culture wise. And they were attracted to each other in this crazy world they were in because he smiled at her, silver, she smiled at him, braces, and they grabbed hands and they trotted off and, into the sunset. No, she didn't have braces. This next one's going to mess with you too. Okay, I want you to look at this. Is the one that's got the 2 colors on it. Oh, go ahead. Which one is it? Do we have the one with the 2 colors? No. It's just a square with 2 colors? Okay, let me ask you this. What color is chartreuse? Who said purple?
I thought it was pink.
Purple. It's green. It's a shade of green. I didn't know that. And I'm like, I don't remember. Magenta. Everybody remembers that. I think chartreuse is a magenta or green.
Guys are colorblind. My daughter swears I'm colorblind. Don't ask me.
Well, you had an opinion though when we started this. That's what I'm saying.
My opinion was wrong.
I'm going to run through a couple of these. We don't have to. I don't think we need to throw out Snow White. Let's do Casablanca. They never said play it again, Sam. We're going to need a bigger boat. Roy Schneider's character just said you're going to need a bigger boat.
Jaws.
Yes. Snow White. What did you hear?
Everyone knows this. The famous saying from Snow White is "Mirror, mirror on the wall." Right? Wrong. It's magic mirror on the wall.
Do you want to play it? Okay, play it. Here we go. A little nostalgia for everybody. Oh yes. This honestly made me a little nostalgic when I was watching it. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen this forever. There she goes. How old is this? Like the 50s? 30s? Oh my God. Look at that.
Slave in the magic mirror, come from the farthest space.
This is really creepy if you ask me.
And darkness I summon thee. Speak. Let me see thy face.
What wouldst thou know?
This is creepy.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Crazy.
Famed is thy beauty, majesty.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. Do we have Tinkerbell? Do you guys remember Tinkerbell did the Disney logo and she would fly around, poof, and then she dotted the I, and it was a blue background. It was a play the one with the blue background. This is it. This is how I remember it, right? This is Disney movies, Tinkerbell. The audio is really crappy on this. Sorry about that. And bing. There we go. Yep, there she was. That didn't happen. Somebody made that. Somebody made that because that's how they remembered it as well. This is what happened. This is the only other piece that we could find with Tinkerbell.
It doesn't look right.
No. I don't remember that. The blue one is what it was.
It was the blue one.
Yeah.
This is.
And the blue one was one that somebody made. He's a guy that makes the AI versions or whatever graphics that he needs to create the ones that we think we remember. And that's where it brings us to finally, one of my favorites is the way we remember it, which I think that's this one here. The next one is Tom Cruise, Risky Business. And tell me if you don't remember it. This is the original scene. This is how we remember it, I think. I love this scene. Right? White shirt, singing in a trophy, Wayfarers on. Yeah. Okay, now play the other one. This is what really happened. He's in a pink shirt. No sunglasses.
So why do we all have a memory of with the sunglasses?
I
then?
don't know. I don't know. But this is the one that same guy created that did the one for Tinkerbell.
The Tinkerbell one.
That
is
messes with me.
That's unsettling
Yeah.
because that's not the Disney logo at all.
No. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Glitch in the Matrix.
So do some Googling if you want to. Glitches in the Matrix. Yeah. And that's kind of what these kind of are. A couple other ones, there's a lot of people that believe there are 52 states and not 50. They seem to remember being taught that in school.
They left out West Virginia again?
Probably. As they should. We need to cover up a star. But what they think probably happened there is that people were taught the 48 contiguous state, and then it was Alaska, Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so they were thinking 50 plus 2.
Right.
Okay, we can let that one ride. And then one other one was Smokey Bear. Is it Smokey Bear or Smokey the Bear? It is Smokey Bear. I always called him Smokey the Bear. And that's how I remember from the commercials as well. And actually his name was Smokey Bear because in real life he was found in a fire, right? And we found this old song that was sung like for a Boy Scout camp or something. I don't remember what the deal was, but go ahead, Cam. They had to change his name to fit the tune. Can we hear him or? Oh, okay, that's all right. But to fit the tune, it was something, something and Smokey the Bear. So they had to change it to that just for that song. But his name is actually Smokey Bear. But I remember the commercials. I remember the commercials when Smokey, and I want to know why they have some chick doing his commercials now instead of Smokey Bear. Have you noticed that? Smokey's really busy lately, so I'm going to do this. And I'm like, he's a cartoon. He's
Talk to his agent.
right. So that's what I got. So there's my little Mandela Effect.
Has anybody
PowerPoint.
here in the audience had a Mandela Effect or kind of glitch in the Matrix type moment, false memory?
No, not till now. Not till not till now. Have you ever had one of those?
Not until very recently.
Right?
Yeah. And I'll make it a brief story because it's my own reality, so nobody else will relate to it. But I was at the doctor's office in the waiting room on my phone, and I did something I rarely do, which was check the news. But I was looking for a UFO story in particular that I wanted to find. Came across
Your
a picture.
history's got to be outrageous.
Oh, no, I broke the algorithm on Google, I think. But now I came across this picture of Putin shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Must have been an old photo because Kim Jong-un died during COVID. I was like, weird. Kept scrolling. And I said, well, what is that? So I go back and click on it, and it looks like modern day. I distinctly have this memory of him passing away during COVID. I remember watching.
Wow.
I remember being in my mom's living room. She was making something around Thanksgiving, and I was just watching the news that was on. And they said he was on his deathbed. He was already brain dead. They were basically going to pull the plug. I remember watching a press conference. I remember watching coverage on the news a bit about it. And then I saw this other lady. And remember, I sent you the picture. My mom was like, because I asked her, I was like, who's the president of North Korea? And she's like, Kim Jong-un. I was like, you're messing with me. He died during COVID. And she's like, no. But I have this memory of a lady taking over because I remember on TV seeing her speaking at a podium in front of like 1 million people. And I was like, who's this lady? And my mom said, she's even crazier than he was. So, look out. And so for the past 2 or 3 years.
That was going to take his place.
Yeah. I thought for the past 3 years that there was a woman in charge of North Korea. Like if somebody asked me on the street, that's what I would have told him. Oh, yeah, he died during COVID. Turns out he didn't.
Okay. There were reports that came out in 2020 that he died or he was close to it. There were some, and I just was doing a little search here because I'm like, I remember this now that you're saying this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. There were reports, and one of them, like, here is no one knows if North Korea's leader is ill. And another one from NBC, is he dead? Is another one. His appearance, though, put death rumors to rest. That was NBC News. So there were rumors that maybe that was all it took to secede your mind, that it just happened,
Maybe.
right?
Maybe. Oh, it will be the last time I watch the news. Yeah.
That was the
Oh,
2020 was the last time you saw the news.
maybe. Yeah. So it was a weird one, but I've heard of personal case accounts throughout the years of people, having a little glitch in the matrix moments. I know a nice guy named Michael. He's a paranormal investigator, very type A personality, very organized, very OCD, meticulous. And he has this story of his old camcorder, which he took, camcorder from back in the 90s, that he took everywhere on his paranormal investigations. And it was gray. Like everyone in his circle remembers it being gray. Well, he brought it out in recent years to check some feature on it. Now it's nostalgic, right? And it's black. And so he's asking everybody in his group, they're like, that camera was gray. They only made gray cameras in that brand back then. So
That's crazy.
Everyone has their own personal account, but these things are weird because they make you question reality.
Yeah, they do. And you hear talk about timelines, but I heard something that was kind of interesting the other day, talking about different timelines that people are, because sometimes you look at some of the things that happen in history and it's like, how could that have been happening at the same time this was happening? Right. And they just don't match up, but you remember hearing about them. It doesn't seem right to me that some of the things that were happening in Rome were happening while some of the things that were happening in South America were happening. And they don't seem to jive, but they were supposedly at the same time when you pull up the timelines. But all the timelines will merge. That's what they said. Eventually.
Yep.
Everything will merge. But there's some, kind of interesting, but
past, present, and future all happening at the same time, as they say.
As they
Just
say.
hard to wrap our minds around, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Psychic Andy. Thank you for being here.
It's been fun.
Where are you going to be?
I guess I should plug my upcoming event. Saturday, October 14th, I'm going to be at the Granary, which is out in La Vista. It's attached to the Bushwhackers nightclub. On my website right now and social media, there's tickets available. I'm doing an event called Spirits and Spirits, Ghost Stories at the Granary. So all my best scary content all in one place. VIP tickets are sold out. We're going to do an after show paranormal investigation.
I was going to ask, have you done an investigation out there?
Not at that place, but being in there,
That'd be
it feels very haunted.
Yes.
It's very beautiful too, but very haunted. And so I'll be doing that. And again, I have 3 books coming out still before the year's over. So thanks for your support if you grab a copy of one of those. But real quick, before we wrap up, Cam, can you dig deep in there and grab a winner out of the bin? I'm going to give a book away to see who our lucky paranormal winner would be.
Oh my gosh, he's mixing them up so good. Oh my God, he's so good at it. All right. Who do we got? How many did they have first off?
They had 22. It's Christina Raber.
Christina. All right.
Hey,
Christina.
congratulations.
Pretty much checked every box on this one.
What?
There you go. So I'll get you a signed copy of one of my books afterwards. Okay, Christina?
Very good.
Right.
Yay. Thank you guys. We appreciate you coming out. And if you're listening, it'd be worth checking out the video just so you can see the pictures. Right? Right. Very good. All right. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.